Alright friends, it's Tino back with another video on JasonBlaha. The fitness slave, guru, whatever. Trying to take an intellectual, honest approach to the newer studies on high training. Yeah, high training volumes, okay. Yeah. Let's review this video.
JasonBlaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Got my Fairlight here. A little bit of oats still stuck to that cup. That's what you're seeing there.
Oats is disgusting. It's ultra processed, like not even once, twice, 3 times, and it's actually horse feed.
Some oatmeal in there earlier. Yes, I do gross stuff like that.
Slave food, man. It's gross.
All right.
No apex predator would eat oats except for prey. Prey eats oats. I guess you're prey. Ha! I'm an apex predator, man. I'm a carnivore.
Let's talk about, all of this newer scientific data on volume. And this one is kind of a tough pill for me to swallow, and I always want to be clear, the problem we have with exercise science research as it pertains to lifting, hypertrophy, these things, the quality of the science is not that good, okay?
I would say the quality of the science is pretty good. It depends on what you're looking for exactly. I mean, let me see. What can we find here on 6 weeks? So this is one on high volume. I'll do the short version here, PubMed. So when it comes to muscle fiber hypertrophy in response to 6 weeks of high volume resistance training and trained young men, it is largely attributed to sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. What about if it was less volume? Would it be slightly attributed to sarcoplasmic? But when it's high volume, it's largely attributed. Get the difference now, man? Yeah, what is this association with? Well, look way down at the bottom there. It says glycogen concentration. See that? Sarcoplasmic protein. Glycogen concentrations were altered in individuals that exhibited mean skeletal muscle fiber cross-sectional area. Following 6 weeks of high resistance volume training, blah. Sarcoplasmic, it's a type of artificial muscle growth. But anyways, that's what the industry is all got you hawked up on, that type of hypertrophy, sarcoplasmic, and not myofibular.
The quality of the science is not that good, okay?
The quality of the science is just that good, trust me.
It's not that good. It throws a lot of things into question. There's a lot of conflicting data in these fields.
And what was the conflicting data? Was there something that none of you understood there? Tell me something. Is there something here that none of you understand in that title? I mean, you don't need to go through the whole thing. Is there something here that none of you people out there understand? What part do you not understand in this title? What part do people not understand? Trained young men or sarcoplasmic hypertrophy or 6 weeks or high volume? Which one do none of you people understand out there? Which one does he not understand exactly?
They're not in shape. They're just training and getting fatigue and then trying to do too many sets, low quality sets. Maybe they're not eating enough, not sleeping enough to recover from what they're doing, and they are having problems. And I've seen a lot of that. And I cut their volumes back and they made gains. But I've also had a little more advanced clients.
I know that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is associated with chronic lifters. It's considered endurance athletes. It's what endurance athletes get. They get something called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Wow, because it's based on glycogen loading. ATP, it's an energy source. But it does hypertrophy muscles. When it loads into the muscle, it makes the muscle hypertrophy. So, and?
They've taken their volumes up.
They're taking their volumes up because they realize they can get more of this pump. They can pump more of this glycogen into the muscle like a pumping machine, like a pump, a bicycle pump. You pump up the tire with air. In this case, you're pumping it up with glycogen. Yeah, eat a shitload of glycogen. Remember, glycogen synthesis must exceed that breakdown. And doing that shit, and you're gonna get massive. These phony muscles are gonna get massive, bro. Yeah.
They did make gains. And I think
No, they didn't make gains. Of course they did. Sarcoplasmic gains.
that's where the truth of the matter lays in here somewhere. I think what it comes down to is a few factors. I think there's absolutely an enormous
What are the factors? Enlighten us, Jason Blaha.
returns. And I've also looked at it and said, I mean, I've seen Greg Knuckles point out with even the data we have, he's like, I don't know that there's evidence that junk volume really exists. Well,
Junk volume just means more volume. It doesn't matter what kind of volume you're doing. As long as glycogen synthesis exceeds this breakdown, you're really going to build those glycogen muscles faster and bigger than the last time.
probably have is that the diminished returns slope is so steep that people are getting very little by adding that next 10 sets.
Well, yeah, if you're not eating much glycogen, if you're just replenishing the glycogen you burned, of course, eating your shitty meals, what do you expect? It has to exceed that breakdown.
But then we come to the question of there were a lot of
Okay, let's go. I start my set.
athletes who done crazy volumes, 30, 40, 50 sets a week and produced.
Yeah, I've done high volumes, but I've never done it as a chronic lifter. I'm usually doing it as a periodic lifter because that's associated with myofibular growth. In order for a muscle to get damaged or these micro injuries, it's got to be overworked. So you must use high volume, heavy weight, high repetition. Heavy as you can go and high repetition. That's it. And that muscle is gonna bust. But it ain't gonna bust if it's you've been chronically lifting. It is protected by something called repeated bout effect phenomena.
Phenomenal physiques, even when people weren't using as much stuff as they do now. They got results. So when I try to take a mature look at it, I'm going to have to look at it and say, based upon the data that we have.
You know, he's looking really old, man, for his age, 47. He looks really old. I'm 56, moving on 57, and I just look better and better right now all the time, especially since I cut out all this weird fakey food. I'm just like back on my natural diet, which is just making me phenomenally better. I mean, everything, just the muscle growth, the body composition and everything being on my natural, how should I put it, primal carnivore diet is just really ramping up, man. The gains and everything is just, it's crazy, man. Just looking fucking phenomenal, bro. I guess that puts a whole new adage to it. You are what you eat, broski.
I've got to lean in the direction to say that is what the preponderance of the evidence suggests. There may be a very, very high volume ceiling to where we can't see benefits. But we have to temper it with
You are seeing benefits, sarcoplasmic benefits.
is in the context if the person has built the appropriate work capacity to it for one, to their lifestyle will
Does you think Blaha knows that there's two types of hypertrophy? There's myofibular hypertrophy and sarcoplasmic. You think he knows that? Do you honestly think he knows the difference between these two? Like, come on, man. He's got to know something. He can't be that stupid. You think he's stupid? Hold on a second. Gotta bring up another one here. You think he knows about this? The two types of hypertrophy, myofibular, sarcoplasmic. You think he knows that? You think he knows about these things? I don't know. I think he must. He can't be that stupid. Otherwise, he's really a shitty coach, man. He really is shit. Anyways, let's watch this video.
to their lifestyle will facilitate the recovery for it. And I think that's what
You know, us bodybuilders, we don't recover. Sports people recover. We grow.
we really have to hone in on. Per week, they just don't. Okay, so in that context, that makes sense to say, yeah, what is their optimal? And, you know, if they can make 90% of their possible gains off 10 sets, 11 sets, 12 sets. People whose time is extremely valuable, it absolutely makes sense to put them there. I get clients in those situations who are like, I can train for 45 minutes 3 times a week or 4 times a week. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
There's no way, even with supersets, we're not going to get those sort of high quality sets. We would be lucky to even reach 20 sets.
It's not the sets you want to focus on. It's the glycogen synthesis must exceed this breakdown. And the truth is, if it does exceed this breakdown, no matter how many sets you do in the gym, you're going to load that glycogen in the muscle. Now, what they're trying to say is just these people they were lifting probably on their regular diet in that study, 6 weeks or whatever. So, yeah, it's just a regular diet, and most of it was attributed to what? Doing high volume. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So some people were training. They weren't necessarily exceeding this breakdown in glycogen, but if you exceed that glycogen breakdown, you definitely are going to build these sarcoplasmic hypertrophy muscles faster than last time.
If we're pushing hard, carb load like crazy, eat sufficient quality protein, get all their...
See, he even tells you carb load like crazy, but then he tells you eat sufficient protein. I thought protein builds muscles. Why don't you just eat protein and protein will build these muscles? Why do you have to eat carbohydrates? Because you're phony muscles, bro.
Fruits, vegetables, sleep 8 hours a night.
Yeah, you have to do all these things to build these phony muscles. You gotta 8 hours, you gotta eat some fruits and vegetables,
Manage their stress, and they
Yes, manage the stress, yeah.
have the free time to put in those sort of sets.
Oh, and the free time to put in those kind of sets. I'm going to tell you right now, man. If glycogen synthesis exceeds this breakdown, I guarantee you're going to build these phony muscles. They're really easy to build. And the fact of the matter is, you could literally come in once a week, just do a full upper body, upper, lower, and then the rest of the week, just start glycogen loading like crazy. Make sure that exceeds that breakdown. And just keep loading it and loading it. By the time you come back the next week, you'd have gained 5 pounds that whole week. I guarantee you, 5 pounds of glycogen. Every week you'll gain 5 pounds of glycogen. By the end of 4 weeks, you'll gain 20 pounds. 20 pounds of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, fakey, phony muscles. Yeah, man.
Well, history.
Nice book quote, and we're putting it in a mouse backpack, and we're going to drop it into an 8-story building.
Testing. Again, I say this biting my tongue because I don't want to accept it, but
Yeah, he can't accept anything. He can't accept the truth.
the data that we have suggests it, and we can explain it and observe other anecdote in the real world, and we can explain it situationally. Yes, it absolutely could be true.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to work with some of this purely because this is what the data is showing, and I'll even mess with some of it then myself, give it an honest go, and let's see how it pans out. Thus far, I'm definitely not overtraining, and people are noticing my arm and kind of throwing out. We have to be careful with what we take on.
You look small in that shirt, man. That's an extra small shirt now. You're getting even smaller. You're going to fade away.
But, in spite of my own personal biases, and that is a hard thing for people. I feel like in my case, I have an obligation.
Yes, he has all these biases instead of the truth. Okay.
To do my best to do that for my audience. Right? We have to
Yes, you got to do your best to fool that audience.
follow what the data shows. All right, guys, but that's...
He didn't bring up one piece of data, man. I have no clue what he's talking about. I'll see you in the next one. Tell what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Comment down below. Broski, yes. Helps with the algorithm. See you in the next one. Ciao. Yeah, intellectual, honest approach and new studies on high volume training. Yeah, okay. See you later.